Hello people watching this video. So welcome to Unhinged Emo. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to be talking about all of the crazy things that my guitar teacher has said. He is a kind of nut job conspiracy theorist. I'm going to start with some of the craziest stuff, and then I'm going to go down. This entire video just going to be me talking. So one time he told me that all the banks are shutting down and that everyone should invest in buying gold and other objects that are not tied to like the money that's in banks. And he said that it's already happened. And then he was talking about this one musician who he said, I don't remember who. It was like, it started with a J. I don't think it was John Fogerty. No, it wasn't that. It was someone. Yeah. But he said that he likes him, but he stopped really liking him that much because he started preaching the gay religion and supporting gay life. I said, being gay isn't a religion, right? And he said, yeah, of course, I know that. But they're talking about it like it is. And one time he accidentally said transy instead of trans person. And he talked about, and then he started talking about this one musician and pulled up an album cover and said this was the first trans person. But back then they're known as cross dressers. And of course, that was not the first trans person. What other crazy stuff has he said? So he told me that when he was younger, when he was a wild, violent kid and a drug abuser, he told me that he just gotten out of a relationship and he was ready to be wild. And his friend said, "Oh hey, I know this witch coven and they're interested in you because your birthday wasn't Halloween." I don't know how much of the story that I believe, but he said that he thought, well, they're girls, maybe they're hot. Yeah, sure, I'll go. And then, so he went to this witch coven meeting apparently, and apparently they're all in a circle around him chanting, and he just standing in the middle. And then he walked out, he walked out during it because he is a sane person. So that's his story. And one time he spent an entire lesson telling about the dangers of witchcraft, and saying that there's only dark magic. Don't believe anyone that says that there is light magic. There's only dark. There's a slight pause there because I thought I heard someone coming home, but there was no one coming home. So I'm just gonna keep talking. I don't like that lighting. And one time he told me that his son's girlfriend was in this apartment with a roommate, and they thought it was haunted. And because he used to be a pastor, he stopped a few years ago for some reason. He decided that they asked him to come in, and he did, just because it was his son's girlfriend. And when he went in there, he said, I'm not equipped to deal with this. It's definitely haunted. And I actually do believe in like ghosts and stuff. And he told me that I believe in demonic possession, but for some people it might like add to the craziness. The kind of funny part about it is that he said that, and then when I looked under it, he said, oh, it was definitely haunted because she'd been using a Ouija board or something like that. And then he told me all over her bookshelf there were magic books. And from what I was a bit confused, like how-to magic books? What is this? Was this person actually kind of But then, and it's my face and was like, oh, not how to manuals, like Harry Potter and stuff. And I laughed out loud at that because he thought that people who like who were reading Harry Potter would try to do witchcraft. And this whole conversation has started because I was wearing like a mushroom shirt, and he said, "Oh, is that Harry Potter?" I thought it was herbology, and I said no. And then he started telling me all about dark witchcraft. An entire lesson. So this is the part that I think is especially insane, and it's pretty offending too. He told me that the blues, he actually said the black blues, are not about like slavery and oppression, but they're about going down to the cat house. He basically was saying that they're all about sex. And he said, oh yeah, everything that they're teaching you in school about the blues is just entirely lies. The schools are lying to you about this. It's not about slavery or oppression, but then I think he realized how that sounded and said, oh, but slavery was awful, it was completely awful what happened, which of course is true. And he was saying all the stuff to kind of like backtracking it, but that's still kind of crazy that I said that the schools are lying to us. What else did he say? So this one isn't crazy. It's just a fun story that he told me. He said that he used to work in this like print shop where like they were chopping things like papers, maybe it's like a newspaper thing, like printers, and they're chopping it a bunch. And apparently they didn't get many women down there. I'm basically quoting this. And so every time one came in, everyone would stop what they're doing and just stare at her, maybe catcall her. Like that's awful. But then he was saying one time a girl walked into the print shop or whatever, and he cut his thumb off with one of the choppers because he was looking at her. And then he went to this hospital and said, "Oh yeah, you're never gonna be able to use your thumb again," which was awful for him because he was like a musician along with that. That was like his day job, and that was like the end of his life. But then this grumpy old man who was mean to Evan apparently gave him a tennis ball to squeeze and like a really soft sponge ball to squeeze. And he said like squeeze this a certain like all the time, all day, like maybe a certain amount of times. And then a bit later he gave him like harder and harder balls until it was like, oh my god, no, why did I say that? And so it's finally a tennis ball. Um, and then he regained control of his thumb, and there's like this big scar there, so you can tell that it's a true story. But that's just crazy. And then he always tells me about how like the songs from the 70s in his generation are always talking about like women like hunks of me, and that he would never like sing any of them or teach any of those songs. Which, I mean, that's fair, but I feel like grouping all of that music together. Oh, there's the other thing. Like, but I feel like grouping all that music together is kind of unfair, saying, oh, yeah, all these ones are awful towards women. And he also said, I'm not even a feminist. It's just awful the way that they say that. Um, but he said that I really like rock and punk music until I finally sat down and analyzed the lyrics. And I kind of stopped listening to it when the entire rock community collectively became anti God. Yeah, all rock music is satanic. I mean, he only listens to music without lyrics in it because he is so worried about listening to something that could be anti-God. All rock music is not anti-God, obviously. I feel really bad for him because he used to like really enjoy listening to it, but then when he sat down and figure out what the lyrics were, he decided it was anti-God. And it's just sad what he's missing out on. But he does still listen to like instrumental rock music and stuff, so good for him from that, I guess. Um, what other crazy stuff? He said that he used to be a drug abuser because he had like stage fright, and so he would drink and do a lot of drugs, a lot of marijuana before he got on stage and stuff. So yeah, he was like an alcoholic and a drug abuser. I'm not sure what drug he was talking about. I think it was marijuana because he said something like that once. And then he said that he found God and stuff, and he stopped doing all that stuff, and then he only started performing at the church and stuff. So it was good that he kept playing music. I can't remember why I stopped being a pastor. Um, he said a bunch of like anti LGBTQ plus stuff. Like I'm saying the best thing about no, that one isn't even a good example. He was saying that like oh, all these men are taking advantage of these younger women in the music industry. It's awful. Oh, and so yes, he said that has to be very very careful when like contacting a younger girl. He's no, I'm a teenage girl. He's telling me all this stuff. And then he said, oh, but now I also can't even be in contact with teenage boys because of this big homosexual thing going on. He said it like it was a trend. And when I was telling my friend about it, she said, well, I mean, it kind of is a trend since it's America. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the LGBTQ plus have been around basically just forever. Obviously, forever since humans. But I don't know what it means by trend. And he was saying all this stuff about like, oh, the best song ever is love song from a man to a woman and stuff like that. And since he's like said transphobic and homophobic things, on the last day of my guitar class, I'm going to tell him that I'm bisexual and gender fluid, and I'm just gonna see how he reacts. I actually think he's gonna be okay with it. Because he gave me this whole talk about how it's okay if my politics don't agree with your politics, and you should write songs about what you believe. And he also is telling about all about how like in the Bible it says do not judge. I'm quoting scripture, I mean stuff, but um, yeah, it would just be kind of funny to see his face. His face doesn't change no matter what shocking thing happens. But he said that he went to this other haunted house too of this person who like asked him to check it out because he's a pastor, and he doesn't usually do that. But he said that he said that like it apparently had gotten really bad with the spirits throwing things around and stuff. And he told me that he believes in demonic possession, and that things can be exorcised, but most people are not equipped to do that, and that very very few people have the gift of being able to do that. I'm not quite sure what I believe in terms of the paranormal, so I'm not gonna say that's completely cuckoo or anything, but I think that you should invest in buying gold because the banks are all gonna shut down. And he was talking about all about how his like wife and family when I listening to him in regards to that, and he said, and when all the banks shut down, I'll say, oh well, I told you. So whenever whenever I think of someone like buying gold, I always just think of goblins. And I was also wondering, like, why are there signs up saying exchange money for gold? Why would someone want to have gold? Are they goblins? I just gold and goblins are inseparable in my mind. Um, so what he said so much crazy stuff. It's hard to keep track of it all. He said that oh yeah, he said that he who was like his band at the time was like as good as all the greats. But that all the greats were really, really arrogant and that he would not want to be in the same breathing space as them. And he said some crazy stuff about Taylor Swift too. He said she's the next Oprah, which is not that crazy to say. But then he also said that her boyfriend Travis Kelce has a reputation for being a very angry person, and so that he hopes that she does not get hurt physically in their relationship. He thinks that Travis Kelce is going to abuse Taylor Swift because he seems to be angry. He said so much crazy stuff, and he also talks about like how anytime he's on his iPad, he says, "Oh, these new like updates are so weird with it," and nothing really changed. And he said, I didn't see any updates, but it's so annoying to have to use it. That is, I don't know why I said talk about that. That's not really crazy. Anything else? He has pretty old-fashioned beliefs, but that's not really like crazy. But a bunch of people do have old-fashioned beliefs, like the only men and women, and when we said, oh, are you always drumming your hands and stuff? Well, that's usually a boy thing, but I think that you would be a good drum player. Just a few, just things like that. I think there's definitely more stuff, and he's gonna say more crazy stuff. So I might make one of these videos every once in a while that most people are not gonna watch, but it's just fun. He's actually an amazing teacher. He can tell. Like one time, I told him, oh, I want to learn how to play "Help I'm Alive" in metric, and he just listened to the song and figured out exactly what the chords were, and then also he wrote entirely new chords to go with the song. And so I'm playing guitar the entire time through, and he's just awesome at that. Yeah, he's honestly a great teacher. So as long as I just nod along whenever he's talking about all this crazy stuff, he's a great teacher. So yeah, that's all I can think of. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and watch out for more future unhinged emo videos. It's going to be lots of crazy stuff. I'm going to be doing song covers, and I hope to be famous one day as a musician. And I've written a few of my own songs. I don't know if I'm going to put them on here when I still don't have like musical accompaniment to go along with them, but I obviously do play the guitar. Thank you.